Assalamu alaikum and welcome back everyone, chapter 36 of the Arduino series. In this video we're going to cover a water level sensor. Now specifically I'm going to go over this one. This one is quite popular and you will find it around. However, I'm going to go over the advantages of using it and the disadvantages and how really practical is it putting it into a project. And the Arduino script that I'm going to be using today is going to show me in percentage the water level. Now for the components, you're only going to need 3 female to male jumper wires and the water sensor in itself. Now there are going to be a few problems you're going to encounter using this water sensor. We'll start off with the analog input. When the water level is at the highest, the ADC input, the analog input, is not 1023, and so because I'm going to do it in percentages, I'm going to have to use the value of the maximum or the mean ADC analog input that gets read. And this will be more evident as we go through the code. And the second problem you're going to encounter is that when you draw the sensor out of the water, you're going to find that there's still on the surface still some water. Now this is going to give a reading and going to make your results inaccurate. Now the sensor is very basic and he only has 3 pins. In my case I have plus, minus and S. So the minus is going to be your ground pin, your plus is going to be your input, your VCC pin, and your S is going to be the sensor pin that's going to provide the analog signal. And I'm going to give the sensor 5 volts. Now to start off with the coding, I begin by making a variable for the sensor. Next I make an undefined variable for the analog input, which I'm going to store the value of the input from the sensor. I will be making the use of a graph to find the relationship between 100% and the max value of input. And that's why I have a gradient variable. And the next variable, which is also going to be undefined, is water level. This is going to be the value in percentage of how full or how much the water is detected on the sensor. And the last variable is a value I'm going to use for the delay command. In the void loop, I start off by activating the serial monitor using the command serial.begin with the baud rate of 9600. And next I tell the Arduino that the pin is going to be an input, and I know this since the data is flowing from an external source outside the Arduino to the Arduino. In the void loop, I define the variable analog input, making it equal to analog read, the sensor pin. This is going to get the analog ADC input value from the sensor. And I use the formula gradient multiplied by the analog input to get the water level. And I got the gradient by plotting a graph, the percentage of how full the container is against the analog ADC input. But instead of the analog input being 1023, I chose 540 because this is the most frequent value I saw once I dipped the whole sensor inside the container, the cup. And I simply check this by telling the Arduino to print on the serial monitor the analog input, and then I dipped the sensor under the water. And to end off, I told the Arduino to present on the serial monitor the water level, and it's going to come in percentage, and I follow that with a small text saying percentage full, just so that it's more presentable and coherent. And I end off with a delay command with a value of 200 milliseconds. Now once you upload your code, open up the serial monitor, and you'll end up seeing the value of how much water is detected. And as I dip it in, you'll see that it increases. However, it does cross the 100 mark because the value I chose on the x-axis is not the most accurate. The device in itself is not the best, but if I was to remove it completely out of the water, it does give me a value of around 25% I'm guessing. So it doesn't really show its efficiency or doesn't show its accuracy as much. There are better sensors in the market, but this is how to use this one. Now, if the video has helped you in any way, consider giving it a like, and if you wish to get closer to the community that I'm trying to build, there's going to be my Discord linked in the description where you can also access the code or ask me any questions regarding this or anything else.